Every week I receive emails from all across Pakistan from people basically asking me how they can become opinion columnists, and how they can start writing, how they can become writers, how they can become opinion column writers. All sorts of these questions come from people all across Pakistan, sometimes even outside Pakistan, from India and other countries at the same time. Because I write for these different publications, including Express Tribune. Tribune I have been writing for since 2016, so that's about 7 years of consistent writing. And lots of other newspapers, including Dawn, Nation, Daily Times, Turkish Daily Sabah, South Asia Magazine, Israeli newspaper, Haaretz. The question, again, is always about that, and there's no easy way to answer that question. So this video, I decided to make a video because every week that, someone is sending that email, asking the same question. I get asked every week how they can become writers, how they can start writing. So I decided to make this video, and it's going to be a detailed one. If you're someone who's trying to understand how you can become a writer, and especially in the age of Chat, GPT, and other such things, human imprint is a very distinct thing when it comes to writing. And Chat, GPT, and other such, AI softwares and apps can never replace human imagination, human thinking, and human writing, for that matter. So this video is going to be about that. If you're someone who's trying to understand, if you're someone who've been thinking about how to become a writer, this video is for you. So once again, the most common emails are, the question they always ask is, how can I write? How can I become a writer? And some even ask, how can I become a writer like you? Even if you share my opinions, even if you think like me. When it comes to writing, it's like, fingerprint. Everyone has a distinct way of writing and going about things and expressing their opinions and their beliefs. And that is where that, human signature on writing comes. So stay tuned. I'm going to explain it step by step. This is going to be detailed. So, grab something to eat while you watch this video, so that, or actually grab something to write, take notes while I'm explaining all of this, because this is going to be detailed. And if you watch carefully, if you understand carefully, if you take notes, and feel free to ask me any questions you may have in the comment section or email me, and I'll be very happy to answer them. But please take notes. Please take this seriously. If you watch this carefully, and if you pay attention, you will definitely be much better equipped when you sit down to actually start writing something that you have been thinking about. So please watch the next segment. All right. So one common email that I get from a lot of people is that they basically ask me if I can talk to the newspaper editors where I write and see if I can convince them to carry the article that, the people who email me, that they have written. And when I take a look at the writing, I instantly know that there's a lot of work that the article, that the write-up needs. But I cannot really say it to them, and I cannot reply to every individual email. But that's not the way to go about getting your work published. You cannot ask other authors to go talk to the editors and convince them to write. The way I started, and the way I believe most of the published authors start, is by keep writing, keep at it, keep improving, keep looking at it again and again, find the flaws, find better ways to express yourself. And once you do that, keep emailing it to all these publications. Someone eventually will take up your article. Someone will like it enough to give you an opportunity. That's how I started. That's how, like I said, most of the people have started. So keep working on your article instead of asking other people to help you in publishing. Again, in these emails that I get, one of the most common questions they always ask is, if I can give them one advice, that one key factor that I can just reveal to them, which will help them start writing or improve their writing. There is no such thing. There is no key. There is no formula that I can give you, and then you just go ahead and throw it at your article, and voila, it'll be a great write-up. It doesn't happen that way. It doesn't come overnight. You see, that's the problem that we have. We think that this is something that's going to happen overnight. We read something and then we go ahead and write something, and then we say, okay, this has to become a publishable content overnight. You have to invest your time and energy in it. You have to keep writing. You have to keep reading. You have to keep improving. It doesn't happen overnight, takes time. Like I said, I've been writing for 7 years actually for these publications. And before that, I was reading and writing things for years. So it's almost a decade of experience, cannot happen overnight. You have to practice. You have to write. Just put it out on a paper, let it all flow out. And once you write something, let people laugh at you, let people make fun of you, let them do whatever they have to do. Do not let that noise discourage you from writing. Do not let that noise distract you from what you are focused on. Keep writing, keep at it, and that's the only way you're going to reach your destination. And when I say read things, that's important, but at the same time, observe things. Watch people, observe phenomena, see how people behave. Sometimes I go to a park and I look at people, how they behave. Sometimes I go outside to a mall and watch people, what they do, what they eat, what they buy, and how they interact with other people. Sometimes that gives me a lot of material to think about and reflect on, and that can help you, and it has helped me in many cases write a much better article than what I would get from, let's say, reading something and googling something and researching something. So just pay attention, be an observer, be a thinker, think about things, try to make sense of the things that you see, try to put everything in a context and see what is it that you actually see. Try to understand that. That will help you generate a lot of ideas, a lot of thoughts that you can then write down. So that's one thing you need to do. So again, absorb things. Sometimes I get my article ideas from the most unsuspecting sources. You'd be surprised if I told you. So again, do not take anything for granted. You never know where your next story or article might come from. But anyway, once you have observed enough, once you have read enough, once you have an idea that you want to expand on and write about, here are some of the key facts. For example, you do have an idea, you do have an article in mind, you do have an argument in mind, you do have a topic in mind. Some people cannot come up with a topic. They may be good writers, but they cannot come up with a topic. Some people are full of topics. They always observe things and they always, can come up with things, but they don't have a very good way of expressing that. So some of the key facts that I'm going to now explain in the next section of this video is going to be exactly for people who do have ideas in their minds, but they just cannot put it down in a publishable content. They cannot just convert those ideas or those arguments or those topics into publishable content. So this section I'm going to talk about that, how you have to go about step by step, how you have to go about converting that idea into something that can be published. So that's next. Number one is note it down. Whatever comes to your mind, write it down, save it somewhere, anywhere. If you have a piece of paper and a pen, write it down. If you have your cell phone, nowadays everyone has a cell phone. Take notes in your cell phone. Do not let that idea, that argument that has come to your mind evaporate. Because then you will have a very hard time remembering. You will be like, I had something good in my mind, I just cannot remember what it was. And then that will make you very angry. It does me. It happens to me all the time. Used to happen to me, but now I take notes. So sometimes, we're driving and something, like in my case, I'm driving and something good just comes to my mind. I'm listening to news and, an idea pops up, an argument pops up. I stop my car and I start writing it in my phone. Whatever the main points are, I save it in my phone. You would be surprised if I told you sometimes that is half the job done. In writing an article, sometimes that's like 50 to 60% of the work done. Once you have that figured out, once you have a good idea, once you have jotted down the main points, later on you can sit down and get down to writing it, and I'll explain that how you're going to do that. But whatever comes to your mind, note it down. Do not let that evaporate your mind, because later on you will have a very hard time in remembering it if you get lucky. So that's number one. Again, note down whatever comes to your mind. Don't let that fly away from you. Now, once you sit down to writing something, let it all flow out. Do not get in it. One of the mistakes that we make when we are writing something is we get in the way of that natural flow of ideas, natural flow of writing. Don't get in the way of it. Let it all flow out. Whatever those crazy ideas are, whatever that crazy piece of writing may be, let it all flow out. Do not get in its way. Do not stop yourself. Do not interrupt yourself. Do not distract yourself. Put it all on a paper. If you have to type it on a computer, whatever you have to do, or on a cell phone, write everything down. Write down. There may be grammatical mistakes in it. There may be spelling mistakes in it. There may be all kinds of other mistakes in it, but let it all flow out. Later you get to editing and then you take care of all those fancy things. But the main idea, if you do that right, trust me, you're almost 70 to 80% done. So don't interrupt yourself. Don't get in the way of natural flow of ideas. Take it all out from your mind and put it on a piece of paper. So the other mistake that we make when we write is we have a lot of things in our mind. We have a lot of facts that we know because we have done a lot of reading and we have listened to a lot of people and we have watched a lot of things. The mistake that we make when we write is we want to include everything in that article. We want to talk about lots of different things. We want to show the reader that this, look at the vast knowledge that we have. Look at all the things that I am putting in my article. Do not make us spaghetti. Do not do that, please. Stick to the main idea. Keep it focused. There was a famous author, I'm forgetting his name, but I'll find it and I'll put the name somewhere, here on the screen. He once said something along the lines that, I wish I had more time, I would have written less. Remember, writing less is more difficult than writing more. Do not try to write a lot. Try to stay focused. Try to remain focused on the main idea. Don't include everything. You will distract not only yourself, but your reader also. And the main idea of the article will just go away. You will have a hard time remembering what the article is all about. So one way to avoid making that mistake when you are actually writing is to keep asking yourself this one good question on every step. And that question is, what is it that I'm trying to say? What is it that I am actually saying? These questions will help you stay focused, stay sharp, and stick to the main point. Again, what is it that I'm saying? And what is it that I want to say? If you ask yourself these two questions during the entire process of writing, you will not distract away from the main idea. Because remember, like I said, writing less is more difficult than writing more. Your focus should be on keeping it precise. That's difficult. That comes with practice, but if you do the steps right, if you keep asking yourself, what is it that you're saying, you'll stick to the main point, and eventually a time will come after several months or years, you will have no trouble keeping things focused. Because remember, again, another thing you need to remember is one article is one idea. One article is one argument. It's one point. It's one story that you're telling. It is just one thing, and you need to stick to it. Don't try to say a lot of things in one article. Stick to the main point. Keep it focused, keep it sharp. Don't try to say a lot of things in one article. Don't try to appear, don't come off as Mr. Know-it-all and you want to put everything in there. Don't do that. Don't make that mistake. Stick to the main point. Since we live in the age of YouTube and TikTok and whatnot and streaming services, the number of people who actually do read is getting lower and lower every day. So even those who are reading, you have to keep it very interesting for them to continue to read your work. So one thing that you should do is to start your article with a very captivating stuff, something that will just keep the reader, stick with your article and keep reading him. One of the things that I do is that I start from a movie reference. It's not something that is ridiculously done. It's not something that is, done in a stupid way. What I do is I have an argument in mind. I have a story in mind. I have an article in mind. And I find similar and interesting links of that with something that I have seen in a good movie. And then I link those up. And that's just how my mind works. You may find something different that's interesting, but always make it interesting. Always make it captivating so that the reader is there and he doesn't leave and discard your article and moves on to the next one. Keep him on to your story, on to your argument, on to your article. Find ways to make it interesting. find ways to make it readable. You have to do that. It comes with practice, but pay attention to what other writers are doing and try to learn from them. Don't copy them, but try to learn from them and come up with your own original idea of doing that. It may be better than the people you're reading from. Your idea, your method of keeping it interesting would be much better than what I do. But you have to learn that art, and then once you do that, sky's the limit to that. So once you're done writing, once you're done editing, make sure to proofread your article. Read it to yourself. See if it makes sense. Look at everything in totality. See if there's even coherence among the paragraphs, and if you've even stuck to the main idea. If you started out right and there's a natural smooth flow of the argument of the article, and it ends well. So that comes with editing and proofreading. Make sure proofreading and editing helps you, first of all, make it look beautiful, make it appear coherent, and at the same time helps you remove any unwanted material that will be in the article that will not be needed. That's something that comes with practice, but you have to do the proofreading. And again, editing helps you keep it focused, keep it, minimize the word limit. Once again, writing less is more difficult than writing more. Don't forget that. One of the ways to improve your writing, and sometimes maybe even completely discard what you have already written, is to let it dry. Meaning, you write something and you leave it as is. I've written something, you leave it there, you go do whatever you have to do, come back tomorrow or 7-8 hours, whatever that lapse is for you. Do other things, refresh your mind, do your work, let's say you have a job to do, whatever you have to do. Come back to it and take a look at it again. Sometimes when you come back to it, you might tap yourself on the shoulder and you'll be like, I've done a fantastic job here. This is me. This is my work. I have written this. Or sometimes you would be like, what the hell was I thinking in writing this? This is ridiculous. This is nonsense. This is complete BS. So you completely discard that and you start over. But all this process is not to discourage you. It is just to help you improve. Listen, everyone can write. Everyone on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram is writing something, 2 words and 3 dots, and then 4 words and 3 dots. That's not professional writing. So if you want to improve, this is all to push you, to help you write professionally, write like a scholar, so that you're taken seriously. It's not just a Facebook post where you just say something and, a bunch of people watch and, that's it. You want that recognition as a writer, you have to do these things. You have to sometimes completely discard what you have written and start over. It's excruciating. It's not easy, to just completely trash something you have worked so much on. But, these are the things that are necessary to help you improve your writing, and you have to do it. But right here, what I do want to caution everyone who's trying to write is, when I say let it dry and take a break and come back to it, do not take that break when something comes to your mind. Remember earlier I said, when something comes to your mind, jot it down, note it down, write it down, save it in your phone, on a piece of paper, whatever you have available. Sometimes all you have is an envelope and a pen, and you just write on it. Don't let that evaporate. Remember I said that earlier? So when I say take a break from whatever you have worked on and come back to it, that break does not apply to that stage where something comes to your mind. You have to write it down. You have to save everything. Don't take any break in that. Don't delay that. Don't even wait 1 second in doing that. Like I said, even if you're driving or doing something, just stop doing that and save everything in your phone. Sometimes we all have a phone. Don't let it evaporate. So don't take any break in that. Take a break in whatever. Let's say you have written your first draft. Leave it there, go do whatever you have to do, and then come back to it. That's what I mean by taking a break. Again, do not take a break when something good comes to your mind. Save it right there and right then. Once you become an article, a columnist for any newspaper, then there's deadlines. You have to meet those deadlines. I have been writing since 2016, For example, for Express Tribune newspaper in Pakistan, which is, by the way, owned by the New York Times, if I'm not mistaken, I have been writing for them since 2016. This is 2023, that's 7 years. I write 6 articles per month only for that newspaper. And then I write for other newspapers. But 6 per month, 7 years, you do the math. Consistency is the king. It's not easy. Writing an article once a month or whenever you are in the mood is easy. Sticking to deadlines and writing regularly is extremely difficult. It's not easy, trust me. But the reward is that you end up writing so much and you end up creating a name for yourself and a paycheck to go with it too. So if you want those things, you have to really push yourself to stick to the deadlines. A lot of people just run away. They write a few things and then they have nothing to say, or they just don't like to stick to a deadline, and that's the end of their writing career. But if you want to continue with it, you have to respect the deadlines. The deadlines are excruciatingly difficult at times, maybe all the times, because there's a lot of things we have to do. Sometimes we have to travel, sometimes we are sick, sometimes we haven't slept well, sometimes we're just not feeling well, sometimes we just don't feel like writing anything. Even though I love writing, but sometimes I'm not in the mood to do it. But that doesn't matter. My mood does not dictate that. The deadlines do. So it's difficult, but like I said, I have so much work published to my credit, to my name, that I can feel, look at and feel proud of. And, like I said, so many people email me about asking me things, such as, how they can start writing like me. So again, it takes time, it takes effort, takes discipline, extreme discipline. It's not going to be easy. I'm not here to tell you that it's a lot of, it's an easy job. Anyone can do it. Yeah, anyone can do it, but it's not easy. It is extremely difficult. So be ready to do some difficult work. If you're looking for some easy work, I'm sure there are other ways you can find easy work. You can do, weird and funny things on TikTok, and if you want to do that, if you're in that sort of thing, and you can go ahead and do that. But this is not easy. It's difficult, and you got to keep working at it if you want to publish your work and make a name for yourself. Please let me know of your opinions, questions in the comment section below. I have only made this video for people, so many people, who have reached out to me over the years about how they can become writers. So I've tried my best to include everything that I know should be included, everything that I think you should know. But if I have left something out, I will work on it again. I'll probably create another video trying to address all of those things. And like I said, if you comment and if you send me your questions in the comment section, I can address those questions in another video that will help you improve your writing and help you get started in this world. It's a beautiful world, man. Writing is a beautiful experience. Sometimes that's all you have to find comfort in. And trust me, once you have that art, there's no going back. It's lovely. So again, let me know of your opinions, and also please do subscribe to my channel. Until that, please do take good care of yourselves and the people around you. I will see you in the next video. Allah Hafiz.